Hey, I'm Matt Manning. Thanks for joining me for this devotional thought for today. Today's devotional is called, Where Are We Going? Have you ever heard that? Being a dad of 4 kids, I hear that quite a bit when my kids say, Dad, where are we going? When are we going to get there? Constant barrage of questions that they ask me. The challenge is this. For me, I usually have 1 or 2 responses. You'll see, and no. You'll see where we're going when we get there. And are we there yet? Obviously not, because we're still driving. So no, we're not there yet. In the devotional for today, we're talking about this next soil that we're going to jump into. We covered for the first 5 devotional thoughts, we covered the hard soil. Now for the next 5 devotional thoughts, we're going to cover the next soil, which is the rocky soil from Jesus' story. Matthew chapter 13, Jesus says there that some seed fell on the hard soil, some seed fell on rocky soil, and it grew a little bit. It was excited, if you will, if a seed could have a personality, and it grew. But then as soon as the sun started to bear down on it, it didn't have roots to go deep because the soil was rocky. It was filled with gravel and other rocks, things like that. And so it withered away and it died. Jesus then goes on to explain that how that works in the life of a person is that we're excited about something. We have a talk a good game. We have a good a perspective on it. We're excited and we talk about it, but then we fail to follow through. And this is where we find this soil is shallow, and because of that, there's a failure to follow through. There's this fearfulness of commitment. So over this next 5 devotionals, we'll really talk about this and hone in here, talking about this soil. I remember the story, the story I tell in the devotional about playing video games as a kid. And one of the video games I loved to play as a kid was Mike Tyson's Knockout. And the funny thing though, with the little guy, and he would punch, and usually the opponent would be some massive boxer, and so Mike Tyson, he would try to go ahead and do the punch out with him. Paul talks about getting knocked out and knocked down and knocked around. In 2 Corinthians 4:8-9, listen to these words. When it comes to dealing with pressures and our temptation to run from our commitments, he says, we are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed. We're perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not abandoned. Struck down, but not destroyed. So you may be under pressure, but you're not pulverized. You may have questions, but God has solutions. You may feel lonely, but God has not left you alone. You may be knocked down, but you are not knocked out. My encouragement for you today is, before you find yourself running when things get heated and fleeing when the pressure rises, take a minute and realize that God is with you, that God is for you, and that God is alongside of you. You don't have to give up, to throw in the towel, because here's the deal. Little known fact is this, that for a boxer, they can't call it quits. Only the coach in the corner, only their boxing coach, he can call the match and throw in the towel if he thinks it's gone too far. And God hasn't thrown the towel in on this match for you. That you may feel the pressure, but God is not done with you. I love to say this, if you're not dead, God's not done. And so when it comes to those commitments that you have, when it comes to following through on your faith, we're going to talk in the next devotional about how to follow through and keep those commitments and put some feet and put some work in when it comes to our commitments and our faith. Thanks so much for joining me.